Hi everybody, my name is Ryan. I'm the owner of Studio Vale. We're an event company based in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area of Minnesota. We specialize in all things photography, videography, audio and DJ services, as well as photo booth rentals for events. And today we're sharing with churches and youth groups ways that you can still reach your congregation during this time where we're not meeting in large spaces with large groups of people. We're all believers that work here, and we just wanted to reach out and help the community the best that we can. So we're going to share with you some equipment, some software, some techniques that hopefully you'll find helpful, and let's stay connected with our people even though we can't meet in our churches right now. All right, so the first thing I want to talk to you about is the cameras. Whether you're doing pre-recorded messages or sermons or just things that you're sharing with your youth group or congregation, or if you're doing live streaming, the camera choice is totally up to you, and it doesn't have to be an expensive broadcast quality camera, especially if you're in a church that's not already doing video. You don't want to break the bank spending thousands of dollars on equipment. And I just wanted to share with you that there's really two features that you're looking for with a camera. And odds are you either have something that will work laying around the church already, or someone in your congregation can let you borrow one, or you can rent one for cheap during this time. So first I have this big camcorder, right? It's a few years old, but it shoots HD. So that's actually one of three things I recommend having when choosing a camera. Have it shoot HD. The second thing that it needs to have is a way to get video out via HDMI or SDI. Those are high quality video signals that you can get out of the camera if you're doing live streaming. And then the third thing is a way to get audio into the camera. So on this big honker of a camcorder, we have it's called XLR as the connection. And this is where you can plug audio in, because audio, which we'll talk about next, is key to making decent videos and live streaming for your audiences. This big camcorder has HDMI output. It has audio inputs right there. But even this tiny little consumer grade video camera that's about $200 at like a Best Buy, or you can buy it on Amazon, shoots to SD cards. It's got a little HDMI output. It's got the audio input. Even this little $200 camera works. Or maybe you don't have a camcorder at all. Maybe you've got an SLR or mirrorless camera. Again, on the side here, it's got these little panels that open up. We got HDMI output and an audio input. Those are the two really main features that we want to recommend to you when selecting a camera. Again, everything else you can argue over: 1080p, 720, 4K. We're trying to get a good video signal out to your people right now. Don't worry about all these crazy features. Focus on those two, right? Video output, audio input. All right, let's talk for a second about audio. If you are doing filming, whether you're pre-recording or doing live streaming to the internet, and you're in your main sanctuary or worship space, you can hopefully get an audio feed right from the soundboard that's already existing in your space, and have that run to the camera via those audio connections that we just showed you in the last section. If you're doing something outside of your sanctuary and worship center, and you're looking for a way to get good audio into the camera, you can pick up, and we're going to have links to all the different things that we mention in below this video, so you can take a look. Grab a microphone either online or even from your worship team. You probably already have microphones available, and just run a cable directly from the microphone to the camera. Depending on the camera you use, you might need an adapter to get from a typical audio connection of XLR to the headphone jack type connections that some cameras have. And we can even put a link for that as well, just so you know what kind of adapters you need. Or you can pick up something like this. It's an external audio recorder. This particular one is by Zoom. It's called an H1. We use these for weddings and corporate events, things like that. These little lapel microphones are very inexpensive. You can clip them on right here, wherever is comfortable. And this little guy's got an audio in, and then on the other side it has an audio out. So you can use the headphone cables to have a direct feed out, and then plug this in to the camera. Now you've got a really solid audio feed going directly to the camera, which will save you from having to match up separate audio and video sources in editing later. and it's going to bring the quality of your video up 20 notches, because all of us have seen those videos that just use the on-camera microphones and they sound horrible. You can hear all the room noise. You're going to lose the attention of your audience in those videos. So having quality audio is super important. So again, just to recap, the 3 things that we recommend trying as options: getting a direct audio feed from the soundboard in your sanctuary, your worship center, using a handheld microphone, which you probably already have through your worship team, or use like an audio recorder that has an audio output and a lapel mic, and just run those lines directly to the camera that you're recording on. Next, we're going to talk about the differences between streaming and pre-recorded messages. All right, so next we're going to talk about doing pre-recorded messages, meaning you're recording something in the camera and then you're taking that SD card, putting it into your computer and doing some mild editing, and then uploading it to an online video service, whether you're using YouTube or Vimeo, or maybe you're putting it on social media, and then you share that link out to the masses of your congregation, your youth group, whatever. The nice part of doing pre-recorded messages is you could do multiple takes if you'd like, but you don't get to do that on Sunday mornings anyway, so maybe that's not a selling point. But the nice thing is you can put it up ahead of time and then share that link out on Sunday morning if you want it to be for your messages, and you don't have to actually be doing it on Sunday morning live at the church or from your home. You will need to have some sort of editing software to take that SD card from the camera or whatever media it records to and cut the beginning and end and export it, probably as an MP4 video file. And then you, like I said, upload it to the service of your choice and share that link out to your congregation or youth group. Some of the software that you might find helpful for doing some of this basic video editing, if you're on a Windows machine, check out Windows Movie Maker, or if you're on a Mac, check out iMovie. Those are free software that typically come with the operating systems. If you have a little budget and you're on Windows, I used to be really familiar with Pinnacle Studio, and I know they still make updated versions of that. I think it's an $80 program. Or if you're looking for Adobe Premiere Elements, that's a watered down version of their really beefy software called Adobe Premiere. There's also Final Cut Pro if you're on the Apple side. So some of these softwares cost a little more money, but there's lots of options out there. And you're really just doing basic editing. You're cutting the beginning and end, so you cut off any extra fluff that you've recorded, and then exporting it, like I said, to that MP4 video file, uploading it to the service of your choice, and sharing it with others. Let's talk about live video streaming now. Maybe you're doing live messages on Wednesday night to your youth group or Sunday mornings to the whole congregation. It's nice because people are already blocking those times off for their calendars, and so they can be used to attending church at the regular times. And we can do it really inexpensively and pretty easily. So earlier, I mentioned the cameras need to have an HDMI or an SDI video feed coming out of the camera. This is a little adapter made by, I think it's called Magewell or Magewell. Again, we're going to put the links to these products below the video, so check it out. They make 2 different versions of this. One is for SDI, and that's what this is. This is an SDI connection. They do make one for HDMI, where the HDMI would come out of the camera and plug in on the side. And what this box does is it converts it to USB 3 even. And then that's what connects to your computer. And it essentially shows the computer, or it tells the computer to treat the camera as a web camera. And you can then use the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or one of the services that we recommend is Zoom meetings. It's zoom.us, I think, is the website. Again, we'll put everything below in the comments. And you can use those platforms and then select this device as your source for video and audio and tell it to look at this as a web camera, which allows you to effectively do really nice quality live streaming without all of the big and expensive equipment that some of the mega churches have. And this adapter costs around $300, so it is a little bit of an investment, but way less expensive than some of the really high-tech options that are out there. So again, we recommend for live streaming purposes, get the camera of your choice. Make sure it has the ability to take in an audio source, because as we discussed, audio makes or breaks the video and keeps people engaged. And then, so you want to be able to plug in a good microphone into that, or a feed from your soundboard in your worship center. have a HDMI or SDI feed come out into one of these converters that turns it into USB so that it can be treated as a web camera on any of the live streaming services that are out there. Again, we recommend Zoom. It's a paid thing, but it's very inexpensive, and in my opinion, has a little bit more professional look to it than doing like a YouTube Live or Facebook Live. Plus, the nice thing about avoiding Facebook is not all of your congregation are on Facebook. You don't need to be a Facebook user if you're doing something like Zoom. They just click on the link. The other nice thing about using a service like Zoom, I feel like I should be getting royalties here for really pushing them, but we're not. We just like the service because you can set it up in a way that you create a recurring event every Sunday morning, for example, and it can have the same link for each of, like, it'll always be the same URL. So you could put it on your homepage of your website, share it on your social media, send out the email blast one time, and that URL will stay the same for all those meetings that you've set up. That way you don't have to communicate a new link, a new URL, a new thing to click on every single week as we're going through this COVID-19 craziness. So very, again, recap, because I don't know the skill set of and where everyone's at experience-wise. I'm going to recap this one more time with the live streaming video. Camera on a tripod. We haven't mentioned using a tripod. I should have mentioned that with the cameras. That's going to make your image look a lot more stable. Please don't have someone hand hold it. It's going to get shaky and look terrible. But camera of your choice. It doesn't have to be an expensive broadcast camera. Get an inexpensive camera or borrow one from someone in the congregation. Like we showed you earlier, it can be a cheap $200 consumer video camera. As long as there's an HDMI out and an audio in. Use a microphone or a feed from your soundboard into the camera. HDMI out into this box, converts it to USB, which goes into your computer, and then from the computer, you run something like Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or Zoom, and select this box as the source for video and audio, and then broadcast to your heart's content. Feel free to comment or reach out if you have any questions. This is maybe a long video to some of you, but it's also very short and condensed in terms of all the different possibilities and troubleshooting and things like that. So feel free to reach out. My staff and I would love to support you and help you get your messages out to your congregations and youth groups, especially during this time where we're not allowed to get together. So God bless. Have a great day.